Good evening and welcome. A search and rescue operation is underway in Indonesia after a Lion Air jetliner with 189 people aboard crashed into the sea. The accident is putting the country's aviation safety record back into the spotlight. Peter Coveas tells us more.
Lion Air flight JT610 took off from Jakarta at around 6 a.m. local time. The Boeing 737 MAX 8 aircraft was cleared to return to the airport after making requests 2 to 3 minutes after takeoff. Ground officials lost contact with the plane minutes later. Authorities believe it sank after crashing into the sea. Diving crews searched for clues. An oil slick on top of the water and debris were spotted near where authorities believe the plane crashed. The head of Indonesia's National Transportation Safety Committee says they're now trying to retrieve the aircraft's black box. The plane was operated by Lion Air and was on its way from Jakarta to an island off Sumatra. The company's director addressed concerns about a technical issue on a previous flight.
Edward
Surratt said that if there was a problem, it was fixed, and the plane was deemed fit to fly.
English Premier League football club Leicester City has confirmed the team's chairman was killed when his helicopter crashed outside the club's stadium Saturday night. 4 other people aboard were also killed. A makeshift memorial was set up outside the King Power Stadium to remember the 60-year-old, and a moment of silence was held for the Thai businessman before Sunday's EPL matches with players wearing black armbands. He was known for arriving and leaving the grounds in his helicopter during home games. Saturday, unfortunately, his chopper crashed following his team's game. The Thai owner helped turn the team around from a mid-tier club to Premier League champions in 2016. The club has postponed their next match, but did issue a statement. They passed on their condolences to the families of the victims and also said the owner turned the club into a family.
Yeah, and obviously the players who are going to have to come to terms with this as well, because the whole family are just such a part of Leicester City. They've made this football team dream the impossible.
Indescribable really. He's put so much money into the club. He's brought the club up from receivership, put the money in, built the team, won the Premiership. Then the future's looking bright, or obviously it was looking bright, and he's done everything he can,
The Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge yesterday recorded its highest passenger flow of 78,000 since its opening. As Haley Joe reports, some passengers complained about the long waiting times for shuttle buses heading home.
Long queues at Hong Kong Port between 9 p.m. and 11 p.m. last night. Passengers complained about the long waiting time for the shuttle bus heading to the Zhuhai port area. Some said the bus operator should have arranged more vehicles, but the bus company disagreed. There wasn't a delayed trip, said Zhang Guangyo, chairman of the shuttle bus operator. He added the company had already deployed all of its 120 shuttle buses last night. The transport secretary said although the shuttle bus ran as scheduled yesterday, it saw 3,500 passengers per hour during the peak hours, which took some time to digest. However, the usage of the mega bridge still falls short of the government's estimate. Over the past 5 days, about 2,444 vehicles used the bridge per day on average.
That really scared me. I think the government have to be really conscious about passing any other huge infrastructure projects in the LegCo. If they cannot accurately and properly to estimate, the potential and the cost effectiveness of the project.
But a pro-establishment lawmaker says it's just a matter of time.
For all kinds of infrastructure, when it's open for use, it will take a bit of time for people to start to get used to it. Once you experience that or you find out, it's so convenient, then you'll continue to use it. So I have no worry about it.
To boost the traffic flow further, the government will issue more permits for private cars to use the bridge.
We will start issuing 5,000 more starting from next week. And we are expecting to have these process completed within November, so that more private cars will be allowed to go through the bridge.
The Hong Kong Tourism Board also hopes mainland authorities will relax application procedures for foreigners in relation to a 144-hour visa exemption transit policy. The board believes that will attract more tourists to visit the city and Macau. Haley Zhou, TVB News.
Police investigators were back at Cathay Pacific headquarters in an attempt to get to the bottom of the airline's massive personal data leak. The scandal could result in changes to when data breaches must be reported. Kana Chu reports.
Police officers from the Cybersecurity and Technology Crime Bureau continue their fact-finding mission at Cathay Pacific headquarters. At the same time, Cathay confirmed it didn't file a police report until last Wednesday on a hack which happened back in May. At least 50 servers with the personal data of more than 9 million people were affected. An initial investigation also revealed that suspicious activities in the system could have occurred as early as the second half of last year.
Under our law, data controllers or users like Cathay Pacific are not required to notify us, the regulator, or their customers of a data breach incident. Nevertheless, we encourage voluntary reporting, voluntary notification.
Among other things, the data leakage could have exposed some 240,000 Hong Kong identity card numbers. The Privacy Commissioner for Personal Data has received 24 complaints and 27 inquiries so far on security and compensation issues relating to the incident. It said it has issued a preliminary questionnaire to Cathay and a response is expected by November 5th. It will also assist affected passengers in making legal claims.
If they have some sort of a damage as a result of this breach incident, including injuries to feelings, first they should consult their own lawyers and obtain legal advice. Alternatively, they could come to our office. We offer legal assistance to these aggrieved parties.
Noting the society's increasing awareness towards privacy protection, Wang said the Privacy Commission will review relevant laws and make suggestions to the government as soon as possible. Kana Chu, TVB News.
All MTR passengers will be entitled to discounted fares this weekend. This comes 2 weeks after 4 major rail lines broke down due to signaling faults. Adults using Octopus cards will enjoy concessionary fares, while senior citizens, children, and students will have to pay only $1 for each trip this coming Saturday and Sunday. At a LegCo meeting today, the rail operator said the fare concessions will cost about $30 million. Some lawmakers slammed the MTR's move as petty favor and called for a more rigid punishment for the rail company. The MTR Corporation will submit an investigation report to the government on its service breakdown in 2 months' time.
A far-right Brazilian lawmaker vowed to clean up the country's politics and crack down on crime after winning the presidential election on Sunday. But Jair Bolsonaro is already dividing the South American nation with promises to uproot the political establishment and support for Brazil's former military dictatorship. Jeff Tang reports.
Brazilians flooded the streets of the country's biggest city to celebrate Jair Bolsonaro's election victory. Supporters set off fireworks outside Bolsonaro's home at a beachfront neighborhood in Rio de Janeiro, cheering the end of nearly a decade and a half of leftist rule. The former army captain was declared the victor after taking more than 55% of votes in a runoff election against the ruling Workers' Party's Fernando Haddad. The left-wing hopeful garnered just 44.8% of the vote. Rising to the top on an anti-leftist platform, Bolsonaro signaled his desire to switch the country's direction right after his landslide victory.
Libertaremos o Brasil.
We cannot continue flirting with socialism, communism, populism and leftist extremism. We are going to change the destiny of Brazil, Bolsonaro said. The far-right conservative is expected to tap retired generals to serve as his vice president and run key ministries. He also vowed to realign the country with more advanced economies. Bolsonaro is Brazil's first president with a military background since the end of the country's 1964 to 1985 military dictatorship. However, many are concerned this will hurt Brazil's human rights, civil liberties and freedom of speech. That's because the 63-year-old congressman has publicly praised the military dictatorship in the past, even defending its use of torture on leftist opponents. Bolsonaro himself has pledged to sweep political opponents off the map. The outspoken admirer of US President Donald Trump has also alarmed many with his comments against women, homosexuals and racial minorities. And while he has vowed to crack down on crime, many are against his preferred methods. In statements that echo Trump's, Bolsonaro is looking to grant police more autonomy to shoot at criminals and encouraging more Brazilians to buy weapons to fight crime. Jeff Tang, TVB News.
別人笑我太瘋癲，我笑他人看不穿。
大師，你輩份咁高，何解喺度跳手指舞呢？
睇落就係跳舞，但係實際上我係同手指熱身，咁我就可以更加靈活運用發興全新論證網站嘅互動畫圖功能。
發興全新論證網站嘅互動畫圖功能？
冇錯啦，網站有唔同嘅畫圖工具，波動市況可以助你量度股價潛在升跌幅。
聽講個圖可以 save 低 send 俾朋友喎。
冇錯啦，畫完之後仲可以 send 俾親朋好友，分享睇法，集思廣益。所以話發興網係我呢個大師
同我呢個大師必備嘅投資網站。
Welcome back. Deadly violence erupted in Sri Lanka on Sunday, 2 days after the Prime Minister was sacked and replaced by a powerful ally of China. Sunday's violence took place at the headquarters of state oil company Ceylon Petroleum Corporation. The petroleum minister in the ousted cabinet tried to re-enter his office. That's when police and the minister's security guards opened fire. One person was killed and 2 were wounded. Sri Lanka plunged into crisis last Friday when the president abruptly fired his prime minister and replaced
Live Korea Metropolis Nature Freshness Variety Culture Passion Sky World 港鐵朗屏站自然都會生活，朗城會。
him with ex-president Mahinda Rajapaksa. China Technology was under fire today during a panel hearing tasked to look into subpar works at the Hongham Station construction site. That's as lawyers of the MTRC and Leighton Asia slammed the witness for adding in new evidence. Sharon Tang has more.
Representatives of China Technology, one of the embattled project's subcontractors, appeared at the Chunwan Law Courts building. The firm's employees were summoned to the hearing today. That includes Chu Ka-kan, who claims he saw workers cutting steel bars. During the cross-examination, Leighton Asia's lawyer asked Chu if he could point out the section of the floor plan where he witnessed steel bars were being cut short. Chu stressed that he couldn't read English but witnessed workers wearing safety vests performing such acts. Chu was also shown the witness statements he previously made to the police. There later noted that Chu had accompanied his boss, Jason Poon, and others to report the case to the police, while he pledged he hadn't told anyone about it. Chu said he may have done so, but he could not recall. In the later session, China Technology's chief Jason Poon claims he suspected there were some abnormally threaded bars at the construction site from the photos his team provided. However, the MTRC and Leighton slammed them for providing prepared speeches, saying those photographs had no linkage to the witness statement Chu provided. The two parties also expressed their concerns about someone who is keen to exploit everything and spin the media to his advantage.
Chairman Michael Hartman also highlighted that the objective of this inquiry is to be answerable to the public instead of determining any litigations. He thus urged the witness to properly provide evidence tomorrow when the hearing resumes. Sharon Tang, TVB News.
After nearly 4 decades with the ICAC, Ricky Yu, the anti-graft body's investigation chief, will officially go into retirement this Friday. Despite scandals within the agency in recent years, he called them a process of improvement. With Christy Lung with details.
With our perseverance and persistence into the matter, we successfully obtained more information, and this information subsequently turned into useful evidence against the defendants.
That's how Ricky Yu concluded a high-profile bribery case last year. His team puts the city's former Chief Secretary for Administration, Raphael Hui, in jail for misconduct in public office, in a case that also involved a property tycoon and others. After 39 years with the anti-graft body, the 60-year-old will officially step down this Friday. He was originally set to retire from his post in February, but had his contract extended. What drove Ricky Yu to become a graft buster? The anti-bribery sentiments in the 1970s. In 1973, a senior police official, Chief Superintendent Peter Gorber, fled the city while he was being investigated for alleged bribery. That unleashed a public outcry.
It's not the sort of problem that can be solved overnight. It's going to be a tough, long battle.
The ICAC has faced some stormy scandals in recent years, including the resignation of Rebecca Lee, the first female head of operations. Her departure in 2016 came after she was asked to take up a post she previously held in the agency. Critics linked her demotion to her investigation into the then Chief Executive Leung Chun-ying. The outgoing investigation chief believes every institution has its challenges, and with these incidents, the ICAC improves itself. Christy Leung, TVB News.
And from all of us, thanks for joining.